I love that pillow.
It's an emotional support pillow. Yes, from my
Yeah.
feelings. Yeah. So how many years has it been since we've known each other?
Well,
Um,
I'm trying to remember the first time we met. I think it might have been at a restaurant.
with
I feel like at a birthday,
I
maybe
feel like at a party.
at Natalina's. I don't know.
I don't know, but that was years ago.
Years ago,
That
like
was
over a decade ago. Well over a decade ago.
yeah. You have 3 kids now.
Yes,
You have 3 kids.
well over a decade. That was
Hmm.
probably like 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, and now you're a producer.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. Yeah, you know that.
And
Produce films, I had the whole restaurant business
oh
that I
yes.
sold.
Oh, you sold that, and you no
Yeah.
longer have. Okay.
Nope, I sold it. I sold it in 2021.
Oh,
So we had when I sold it, we had what did we have? We had
you had a lot of chains.
yeah, yeah.
It was everywhere.
Towards the end we had 3 full standing and then we had 20 additional licensed outlets. So we had like 23 total. 20 of them being like mobile virtual kitchens where you can order delivery from and 3 regular restaurants.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we sold it to one of our licensees.
So now you're only doing film?
Primarily, I
Uh-huh.
mean, I do writing too. I wrote a book last year and
Oh,
I'm going to publish it this year.
what's it about?
It's called Walker's Fortune and it's
Okay.
about
It's
this.
fiction.
It's fiction. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a novel. It's a
Okay.
novel.
Okay.
So it's about a eccentric billionaire
Mm-hmm.
who's like the most interesting man in the world. Scientist, philanthropist, treasure hunter, adventurer, right? And then he dies and he's like 80 years old. He leaves his entire $1 billion fortune to his estranged grandson, who's 20, mid 20s, and he's living the small town life, hasn't seen his grandfather for 30 years, and all of a sudden he gets thrust into this inheritance. But in order for him to get the inheritance, his grandfather left him clues all around the world that he has to solve
Okay.
in order to like fill his footsteps,
Yeah.
and fulfill his legacy and be able to be worthy of the fortune.
Yeah.
So it goes on this huge adventure with his grandfather's right hand man. And then, of course, there's like bad guys who are also trying to get at the inheritance and at the fortune, these corporate stooges and just other treasure hunters. So it goes from New York to Malaysia to Africa and back again. And it's a fun book.
It
It's a fun
sounds like
book.
an
Yeah, yeah,
adventure.
yeah, it is.
Is he grounded? Is he like is he a nice person? Is he humble or is he an asshole?
No, he's cool. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Okay.
can't be an asshole.
You're right.
He's got to be worthy of
He's
the
a
of the
yeah.
of the treasure, right? I mean, he's green. He's like this kid that's, going in with his eyes totally open.
Okay.
He's never traveled anywhere outside. So it's kind of like not only is it an adventure, but it's also like a coming of age story because it's this guy who's leaving his country for the first time, and being able to see the rest of the world and experience, and you get to experience it through his eyes and mixed in with this action, adventure, thrill, chase, solving clues. It's fun. It's
Okay.
fun. Like the whole back end of the book takes place in Malaysia. So there's a large portion of it that takes place in KL. And not in KL, in Malaysia.
I feel like this could be a potential film. Is that what you're?
Well, when I think visually, right? So it initially started out as a film idea, and this was like I had like a 20-page outline for it, right? And then a producer friend of mine, he's like, Mike, this is a great story, but nobody's going to make this film because
It's
it's
too expensive.
$150 million
Mm-hmm.
and it's got no IP. He's like, but if you write a book or do a podcast and it catches fire, then all of a sudden,
Could be a thing. Yeah.
yeah. So that always stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this was years ago. This was like 7, 8 years ago. And I just closed some startup deal in April last year, and I had some time on my hands. And for some reason, I just sat down. I said, you know what? I am going to write this book. And I
Wow.
turned it in, and I just sat down. And 6 to 8 weeks later, I had a first draft. And I just banged out a first draft of a novel, 85,000 words. And then I spent the next 6 months refining it. And I got an editor, and I kept refining it. And now working on the cover and working on some additional inserts and looking for a publisher. Maybe I'll publish it myself. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah, I do some
Have you
writing.
always wanted to write?
I've done some writing. I published a children's book
Did
like
you?
12 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
can we still buy it? Like,
You could buy it online. You could buy right now it's available on Amazon as like a Kindle book.
okay,
Working on getting that going again to get physical books out there. But yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's called The Adventures of Tabby the Cat. It's in the Singapore National Library. It's in the Malaysian National Library.
That is so wholesome. Like, oh, there it is. Okay. The Adventures of Tabby Cat. Can I show this? The Adventures of Tabby Cat. But this is so on brand for you, with you, because you're such a wholesome guy. You're such a family person, and you've got a cat book.
Yeah.
Printed copies outside.
No,
Oh.
yeah, yeah, there's a printed copy outside. I don't have enough to give you one, but I would love to give you one day.
Okay. Is it? I want a signed one. I want a
Yeah,
signed
of course.
copy.
It's funny thing is I'm allergic to cats, but that book
Oh
is
no.
based off a true story, kind of, sort of, kind
Oh
of.
no. But do you like cats?
I like cats. Yeah, I like
Okay.
cats,
Cats or
but
dogs more?
dogs
Oh,
more for sure.
well,
Yeah.
mm,
Dogs are more
not at all.
friendly. Cats are killers, cats are hunters,
They're
right?
not. I mean, well, sure, sometimes.
Cats, do you know this? Hear this stat. Cats are accountable for 1 billion kills a year. Domesticated
Where is that
cats,
statistic coming from?
domesticated cats kill 1 billion animals a year. Ruth, look it up. 1 billion animals a year, like
Okay.
in terms of birds and squirrels.
4 billion birds every year.
How are they counting this? This is not. I don't believe this.
2.4 billion just in the U.S.
Is there a guy that's sitting outside like, okay, another one. Okay, he's got one. He's just like camping outside, Is that a job?
No, the
Like,
way they do it is like it's all math, right? So
Mhm.
they'll just take a pool of like cats. And they probably do like 100 cats or something like that.
Okay.
And then they figure out how many birds each cat kills, and then they just do the math as to how many domesticated cats there are in the rest of the country and the rest of the world,
Wow.
which is nuts.
They are also invasive species. So
Cats?
I mean, I keep my kitty at home, so I don't.
yeah.
Oh, you're how many? How many do you have?
Two kitties.
Okay,
kitties,
not the
yeah.
crazy cat woman,
Not.
just two.
No. I could be, but it's too much work. Two is a lot.
So many, there's quite a few like young, like single females I know that love cats. What is it about cats that you love?
There's a lot of non-single females that like cats too.
Okay, but what is it that you love about
Okay.
cats?
Well, I was never really a cat person when I was a kid. Until I had a dog, and then I'm like, oh, this is a lot, And then when I had my first cat, and it was accidental because his name was Rolo. So Rolo, we found him somewhere, and he needed help. He was kitten, and then he was stuck, and then so we got him home, bathed him, and then I just fell in love. Like it was from there that I started loving cats. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different thing. It's like, you hear all these things about cats not being loyal, not being, they don't care about you. It's the exact opposite. Like if they've imprinted on you, like they're yours, you're theirs. It's a weird thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a weird
So it's about
family.
the imprinting.
It's a weird bond, yeah.
Well,
It's a real bond.
they're definitely more independent than dogs. Like you really don't have to worry about them,
A little bit more, I would
You
say.
don't have to take them for walks.
No. They
Right.
they walk themselves.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah.
walk you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You just have to clean up their
poop.
their cat
Their
litter,
mess.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of their slaves in a
Hmm.
way. It's like, hey, wake up, are you awake yet? Time to clean my poop area. Hey, feed me. So
So they do that. So cats are because they see the world a totally different way than we do too, right? Like they can see in different spectrums of the
that's
electromagnetic spectrum than we can see, right? Like
that's
they
what
can see
they
at night,
say.
so they have
Yeah.
like night vision. That's why they're such good hunters, you
But same
know.
goes with dogs too,
Well,
though,
dogs
right?
like can't even see color, so dogs see like way less than
Oh.
us.
Oh, that's the research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs are just like love meters. They're just like an emotional, like
Oh yeah.
they're just
They
a dog is just
need.
an emotional being.
Yeah.
Like you see a dog and you could tell immediately that dog's mood by looking at its
No,
tail,
you're right.
right?
You're right.
If he's like, oh, you know he's happy. Tail up, he's trying to be dominant. Tail down, he's sad,
So
right?
the same goes with cats, though.
Does it?
Yeah. So if the cat's tail is up, then it's like, okay, it's playtime,
Mm-hmm.
or he's happy to see you, or it's just happy. But if it's like down, it's like it's okay. It's just not feeling much, just indifferent. But when it's like all the way into like down in between the legs, that's when it's scared.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell. And when it sort of hits like that,
Mm-hmm.
like on the floor or anything, that's when you know it's irritated. It's annoyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because don't they? Oh no, dogs do that sometimes. When you like scratch their bellies or
Mhm.
something, they start getting
Oh,
that whole
right.
leg going. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats have that with bum.
Oh,
Like
okay.
some of the cats, when they get overstimulated, their bums go up, and it's like, all right, calm down,
Or
girl.
what about when they do this with the paws? They always do this, right?
Oh,
You know what I'm
that's like
talking about with the
kneading.
paws?
That's
Yeah.
kneading.
Yeah.
Apparently, now it's funny because all these things are like created by cat enthusiasts. So we don't speak cat, so we will never know. But apparently, from what it's been said in, online from cat enthusiasts, is that when they need on you, that means that you're their mother. Or
Oh,
like they recognize you as like a love person.
so you're not their bitch.
I mean,
It's
we
not
are
like
though.
you're mine. I'm
Or
gonna
like
need on
I
you.
I approve. It's more like I approve.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
safe. You're cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Needing is a behavior frequently observed in domestic cats where, when a cat feels at ease, it may push out and pull in its front paws against
I feel like
sense
maybe
of
they
content.
feel. Yeah, I feel like maybe for what I get is that it feels like they want to give you some kind of service.
Okay. Right. A
Like,
massage.
yeah, they're like, oh, I like you. You're my person. I'm gonna make you feel good, or
Mhm.
like I'm gonna do this. I don't know.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense as long as they're not
Marking
unhappy.
territory
Marking territory.
by releasing pheromones.
Okay, I got a lot
Yeah.
of cat pheromones on me right
Well, you remember that? Yeah, I mean, people love cats. You don't want to mess with cat
now.
people,
No, no.
right? Remember that documentary on Netflix? It was like, "Don't fuck with
Oh
cats."
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
that
that
one.
documentary about that. They caught a murderer because the
Yeah,
guy killed a cat,
yeah,
and then they found out he was like a serial killer.
yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was wild.
That was crazy. No, definitely do not fuck with cat lovers. Yeah, like it's just I don't know, like cat people. We're just a little bit more like I would say, but this is not for everybody though. I mean, we're just very like a cat needs to feel safe. A cat
Mm,
needs to feel safe. So every cat owner knows that. Like if it doesn't feel safe, it would not sit with you, it would not like you, it wouldn't even need nothing, right? So like we try so hard to make our cats feel safe or to get on that level where they're okay with us, And so if someone hurts cats, it's like yeah, yeah,
not okay.
not okay.
On site.
Okay, so all right, we know you love cats. What about
Do you know that my birthday is on the day of the World's International Cat Day?
what day is that?
8th of August.
8th of
Yeah,
August.
my friend told me that. So I was like, I am born a cat lover.
Oh wow.
That's such a nerdy thing to say, but yes.
No, that's cool. 8/8.
Yeah.
That's a good birth. That's a good Chinese birthday. 8/8,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, no,
That's like a
see,
lucky
the
number.
predicament is that, Chinese people like the number 8, but Indians don't like 8. Am I right? Because, like, apparently
But please continue.
yeah, apparently, like, in India, the 8 represents infinity. And having an infinite amount of abundance would mean that you would be met with an infinite amount of terrible things.
Mm, that whole
Yeah,
balance.
correct. So because comes around goes around, right?
Mm,
So it's like it has to flow. So if you're getting this much of positivity, you're also getting that amount of.
mm,
This is what Life Guru says.
Yeah, what does Life Guru say?
The number 8 is often associated with traits like success, abundance, and balance.
Is that an Indian website?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Hindu mythology, the number 8 is connected to Lord Vishnu. He had eight incarnations.
Oh yeah, okay. I know it's like an infinity, something to do with infinity.
But like in some stories, yes, 10, that last one's supposed to come. But yeah, I mean, there's some relation there. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. The Bhagavad Gita is. Are
I
you
know a little bit
religious?
about the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, I know, I have become death, the destroyer of
Mm,
worlds, that Robert Oppenheimer quoted after he created the nuclear bomb.
mm,
And also I know a little bit about how they had like the Vimanas, the flying machines of ancient India, that apparently the gods came in and they had like wars in the sky thousands of years
yeah.
ago in these
It's
Vimanas. Do you know about these Vimanas? They're
no,
unbelievable. So
but
this is
like
like some ancient alien stuff.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. No, but the Bhagavad Gita is like
It's
there's
amazing.
so many tales in it that I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah, so they have these stories about these
it's so
Vimanas.
sci-fi.
It's so, yeah, it's so detailed that they actually have like the engineering blueprints of how to build one of these things in the Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
And they talk about this war where one blew the other one up
Yeah,
and it lit up the sky like the sun, is essentially like a nuclear war,
could have
which is
happened.
why I think Robert Oppenheimer quoted it. Yeah, it could have. If these things go back, tens of thousands of years, it's very possible, and we may not even know it.
No, no. What we know is TikTok
A
right now.
pre-civilization. It could be. No, I mean, and especially you look at India, you look at some of the architecture there. I mean, it's
Yeah,
unbelievable, right?
yeah,
Like some of these temples that were cut directly into the stone.
yeah. It's
People
beautiful.
don't know how they did it till this day.
Just like the pyramids as well.
Mm. I mean, there's petroglyphs in India. They've recently discovered of like aliens, like giant aliens. There's one that's like 10 feet tall
In
of a
India.
in India, yeah, in northern India. It's got big eyes, it's got a big
Where is
head, it's got
this?
like 3-digit fingers.
Hmm.
I don't know. Ruth, look it up. Alien petroglyphs in India, but they're there.
Yeah, so the Konkan region of Maharashtra and Goa is home to ancient petroglyphs, some of which date back 12,000 years.
12,000 years. So that's right around the time of like the Younger Dryas period, which is
Mm,
when the ice caps were melting.
hmm.
And it was basically the start of modern day civilization.
It's crazy.
This is what it looks like.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I'll show it up while editing.
That is crazy. So, like, do you believe in time travel?
Well, I was thinking about time travel today, actually, this morning. And the funny thing is, like, if time travel exists, then time doesn't exist. Because once you've
Yeah.
achieved time travel, there is no such thing as time. You can be anywhere at any time, right? So imagine
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot
But
of
at the same
rumors,
time, it's kind of paradoxical because at the same time, you need to have some kind of idea,
measurement,
a measurement of time to be able to,
gauge when and where,
yeah,
right? But
balance.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and also with like certain parts of physics, like quantum superposition, where things can be in two places at once or
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously happening at the same time. So then that also kind of is a little tweak in time, right? Like, how does that work? I mean, there's crazy stories. Like, I've heard stories of like a guy like just showing up in the middle of Times Square in like 1945, and he gets hit by a taxi, and he gets sent to the emergency room, and his clothes are from like the 1800s, like his coins are from the 1800s that are in his pocket, like everything about him is from the 1800s, right? You hear these stories, and you're like, and then there's other stories about like people traveling in England, and all of a sudden they enter like some time vortex, and they're in like colonial era England, out of nowhere. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these like weird
They
anomalous
are.
stories that happen, and whether they're true or not, I mean, I haven't seen any evidence personally, so I can't say they are, but I love reading them. That's
No,
for
no, you're
sure.
right. I mean, it is interesting. I don't know if we can sort of tear apart our atoms to time travel, but again, I mean, like when I read like all these religious scriptures or histories of like civilizations, and you're like, this person is an astronaut, or this person is a is that an iPad?
Right, right.
Like
Like time displacement theory, right? Like, yeah. I mean, there have been times where like there have been coal miners like down like 500 meters down in a coal mine, and they're digging out coal, and all of a sudden they find like a screw embedded in the coal that's been there for millions of years, right?
mm,
So like, does that mean that there was somebody working with screws millions of years, like hundreds of
yeah,
millions
that
of years
kind of
ago? Or does it mean that that screw was somehow transported into that rock from somewhere else at a different time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. If you could time travel, which period of time would you go to? You get 3 tries.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely would want to see the pyramids. Okay, so I'd
Okay.
want to go
In its
like in
glory.
its glory, probably
Yeah.
like 8 to 10,000, 6,000 years ago
Okay.
when they were first built,
Okay.
according to the traditional. I would want to. Well, I'd want to go to the future. Am I allowed to go
Do
to the
you?
future
Yeah, I
in this
guess,
game?
like, yeah,
All
time
right,
travel.
I definitely
Fuck
want to go
that,
to the
sure.
future. I want to go to the future. How far in the
Oh
future?
gosh.
Probably like just 15, 20 years in the future. Just to be
Okay,
able to
20 years
see,
is okay, I think,
just
right?
to see
Like,
where the world is gone,
yeah.
and so I can benefit myself financially. Um, and then I'd want to go like way, way back to the dinosaur period. I'd want to see dinosaurs and stuff like that.
But what if like you get transported?
And there's like T-Rexes right there.
Yeah, and you're like in a nest or something, and like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I'd want to be able to kind of control where I can and jump in and jump out of.
No,
You got to let me know what are the
no.
mechanisms
Okay,
of this.
okay. You just jump. That's
You
it.
just jump.
You just jump from here. So like here, this place, this coordinate, 500 years ago or something. You know.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would still, I still stay with the pyramids,
Hmm.
and I probably want to see like the 1920s, like the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, but like you'll be in Malaysia traveling back.
Oh,
So
so you're
19
saying I'd
well
be in the
but
Malaysia in
19 yeah,
1920s?
this
Oh,
coordinate. Like
oh God,
I guess
there
1920s.
wouldn't be anything here.
But 1920s is okay. Like there are boats and there's ships and there's some yeah, there's a lot going on. So
Yeah, I was thinking more like New York 1920s, where you could see like the Roaring 20s, like the
you
gangsters,
take
the
6 months
prohibition,
to
everyone's wearing
get
a
back.
suit, you know?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you're like so specific, the world travels at this speed, like the whole universe is traveling. So if you go back in time, you'll be essentially left in space and you just die. Don't you think? If it's like specific coordinate.
Right. Well, it can't be that, right. You're right. Because right. What he's referring to is like the fact that when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, our planet was on the other side of the galaxy. How crazy. Think about that, right?
Um,
Like we don't even know. Like we're
oh
on
yeah, you're
this,
right because we are moving.
we're
Yeah.
move right, and
Hmm.
we are going through space
Good one.
on this
Yeah.
ship, and we have no idea what we're going into because we've never been there before, right? We could be going into an into an
No,
asteroid
you're right. Okay,
shower, a
okay.
meteor shower. We have no idea.
Then set aside coordinates. You would go back to 1920s New York. Okay.
1920s Egyptian time, and if I could, the future. Just because, I mean, I'd like to go to to the near future and to the really far future. I think I'd love to see what we actually become, like a couple hundred years from
What
now.
do you think would become?
I think, all right,
Okay, let's start 50 years. 50 years.
50 years from now.
Yeah.
50 years from now, I think society is going to be bifurcated, meaning
Mm.
it's going to split into two different, maybe three different potential segments of humanity. One would be cyborgs, people who've adapted technology and integrated it into themselves. Uh, Second would be people who have adapted genetic engineering and they've genetically manipulated their own DNA to create
Oh yeah.
themselves being a better
Hmm.
person. And third would be like the naturalists, people who don't have the affordability, they don't have the economic,
Or they have
or they just want
certain
to be totally
yeah.
natural,
Yeah.
right? So I think we're going to, and we might even see a mix of the two, of the cybernetics and the bioengineered people, right? So
Are we
that
all not a little bit bioengineered?
after the COVID, you mean
No,
after the mRNA shots,
I mean, no, just kidding. But yeah.
or the alien abductions?
What
Yeah.
stars do you have?
You know, the human hybridization program. But yeah, so I think
This podcast is getting wild. Like we're going into all kinds of conspiracy stuff.
yeah, I'm a big sci-fi person. I love
Oh, me too.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
I think about the future all the time.
Did you watch the one in HBO? Oh gosh, the one that got canceled. What is that?
Which one?
The one that the artificial intelligence was raising humans, raised by wolves.
Oh yeah, I watched that. I
That was
watched it. It got a little wild. Like it was good,
first
and then
season
it
was
kind of
great.
went off the deep end a little bit with
Yeah.
like the whole flying snake thing and
Oh,
flying
the
dragon
Ouroboros.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was like, but it was well done. I'll tell you one of my favorite sci-fi series that I think will accurately reflect the future of society is Altered Carbon. I really, really like
Yeah.
Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean though, in terms of like society splitting, right? Because right
Hmm.
now we already have this huge socioeconomic gap, and it's only getting bigger and bigger as technology gets better and better.
Yeah.
And that was one of the fears that this tech techno
Techno
technocracy
technocracy.
technocracy,
Yes.
excuse me, that this technocracy is going to take over because they're creating technology that nobody understands except for them,
No, you're right.
right? And only the super wealthy or the wealthy will
Yeah.
be able to utilize some of this stuff, like in the future, right? Like if you can have an implant and somebody else can have an implant and you can think 10 times faster than they can, you are at an exponential advantage to
Hmm.
them. I mean, imagine walking into a business meeting where you have to negotiate for a new movie,
Hmm.
and this person's already got downloaded your entire family
They wouldn't even
profile, your
walk
whole
in. They'd be
profile.
like, no chance with this person. Next.
You know,
Or
but I mean, it's true. I mean, they can work up backgrounds on you. They can work up dossiers on you
yeah.
just from the click of a button if they have an implant in their head. And no, but this is why I'm also into like, meditation and stuff like that, right? Because I feel like that is a natural way of being able to kind of enhance your mental state of being, right? Or at least break out of this simulation
Yeah,
in a
but
sense.
the fact that we have emotions, that's a hindrance
Mm.
into, a super intelligent level of way of thinking or processing, because there's always going to be a biasness.
Yeah, I think but emotions are very, very important, right? We don't want to be
That's
robots.
true because we're human. But
Yeah,
like if we're
I
talking about just in terms of intelligence alone, the fact I don't think it's quite hard for us to get into like
I think it depends.
computer level, AI level smart because they're just going through everything without having a filter known as emotions,
Yeah, they're
And that's
crunching numbers.
yeah.
And that's what I think AI is going to be good at. And that's what we should utilize AI for is for all this logical type thinking,
Hmm.
right? But in terms of like instinctual thinking, that's where emotions really help, right? Like
Yeah.
seeing things before they happen,
Yeah.
feeling the vibe of a room, feeling, being empathetic with somebody,
Yeah, what's to
right?
say like the AI isn't conscious and
It
wouldn't develop its own intuition in
it
5 years?
could. Well, that's the thing that I think that's the one thing that AI won't be able to take away from us is our spirituality and our intuition. And it's very good at logical thinking. And it's very good at being able to mimic human emotion, but it will never have human emotion. It'll be able to mimic it, but it will never be able to physically feel it, right? Like that loving feeling that you get when you cradle somebody or when you have that cat on you, right? Like AI won't be able to get that. It's just nuts and bolts.
Unless if you give it emotions.
But Mike, don't you think like all emotions are just like chemicals, like dopamine, serotonin, like those functions?
Yeah, but then it makes sense for us, even when it
Right,
doesn't.
but we are a chemical combustion. AI is not a chemical combustion. AI is built off silicon and electricity,
But what
right?
if there's a program that makes helps it understand emotion? And then we're dead. We're toast. we're like we're like yeah, we're vintage.
We're already getting there. We're slowly getting there to vintage. I mean, McKinsey came out with a report. They're this big consulting firm that said by 2035, 70% of office jobs are going to be run by AI.
Mm,
And that's 10 years from now. I mean, they're saying by the end of this year, AI is going to be smarter than the smartest individual human being on the planet. And by 2029, AI will be smarter than the collective of all human beings on the planet, which is pretty scary
that is
stuff.
crazy.
But like as an actress, They can't. Well,
No, they can't replicate the face. Well, they can, but not everyone.
mm,
I've done a lot of those AI like apps where you pay for it and then you get like a collection of AI generated pictures, like school yearbook thing. They could never do my face justice. I was like, why? I don't look like this. I don't look like that too. I don't look like the next 50 pictures. So there is still, I think, some hope in terms of like say acting where an AI would not be able to replicate 100% like a human, another human's face or reaction. But I think what it just needs is just more data.
mm.
So,
I think you're right. But okay, so so you were talking about the future before, right? Let me tell you what I think is going to be something that's going to be a luxury
hmm
in the future, particularly in places that have very high wages like the United States and Europe and
hmm
Australia. In Malaysia and Southeast Asia, we're still lucky in terms of having a lot of human interaction, right? But I think that is going to be considered a luxury in like 20 years, like going to see a play, like a theater, like a
yeah,
theatrical
yeah,
play,
yeah.
or going to a restaurant where you have a top-notch service waiter
hmm
instead of like a robot or an iPad where you order your
Oh,
food
it's
from.
still, it's already a luxury.
You know?
It's
It's
already a luxury.
already a luxury to a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it is already a luxury, I suppose,
But
but
I would say yes, you're right. I mean, it would
even
be,
more so, I
yeah.
think.
hmm
Like that human interaction, like a massage. Like here, you can get a massage a dime a dozen, right?
Omakase.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You can't have a machine. It just doesn't taste the same. You got to have the hand juice.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
It's got
I
the
always
hand
find a sushi chef
sweats.
suspect if he's wearing gloves. I'm like, if you're wearing gloves and you're a sushi chef, you're not a real sushi chef.
I've never seen a sushi chef with a hand glove.
They were when I was just in Japan
Oh, okay.
and like at the airport, right? Like I did standing sushi a couple times at the
Mm.
airport. They're wearing gloves, and this one guy's got like thick gloves on.
No,
I'm like, how is he
you
doing
gotta
it?
taste the nails. If you don't taste the nails,
Yeah.
it's not it.
And you always look at their hands too, right? I always do. They got thick fingers, those guys,
No, but
because
they
they're
have
constantly working it.
smooth,
You know, they're doing their
and they have smooth hands.
yeah, very smooth.
They're like, and you're just like, oh, this is a good facial massage hand. Like, this is a good, yeah,
Imagine their hands are getting constantly rubbed by rice.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
sandpaper, it's
Like they could
rice.
be having wrinkles everywhere, but it's like, boom, 20-year-old hands,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
15-year-old hands, preserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you like your trip to Japan?
Yeah, I love my trip to Japan. I mean, I went skiing. I was in Niseko
hmm
and brought my whole family and my son. This was his second year skiing. He's awesome. He's really getting it. I'm so proud of him. You know, he's going down the hill,
Oh.
weaving, bobbing, weaving. He's going up the chairlift, going up the gondola for the first time.
Oh.
So very excited. My other daughter, it was her first year, so it was just important for her to like get used to being on skis.
hmm
But by the end, she was going down. Next year, she's gonna be set. She's gonna be like ready to go on the hill.
Okay.
So yeah, 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 yeah. No, it was good. And then of course, you know, the food is good. The snow was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was amazing.
Would you buy a house in Japan?
No, I wouldn't buy a house in Japan. I don't think. I don't know.
I
I'm
would I
working
would
on
I
it.
would buy two, yeah.
It's like
We might invite you to our house.
okay, okay. You guys can invite me.
Not even the top of
We-
this.
I'm no, I'm debating on buying things. Like I feel like
What's a
real
good investment to you for you right now?
good investment for me right now. Well, let's see. Obviously, I always like index funds, right?
Okay.
Like
That's
index.
something I'll never
Do you know what an
understand.
index fund is?
I'll no.
So, like in the US market, like an index fund is very, very simple. It's the
hmm
best way to invest because you just put your money, it's like an ETF, right?
hmm
You put your money into like the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the United States, okay, at
Okay.
any given time. And if one company all of a sudden has a bad quarter and its numbers drop and it goes to 501, then it gets replaced with another company that's now in the top 500 and you don't have to think about anything.
Mm.
So all you do is you just put your money into the S&P 500 and it's just automatically resetting itself for you every single day.
Oh,
And it's like a total no thought whatsoever investment and it's liquid. So you can put it in, you can take it out whenever you
you gotta
want
teach me this after this.
and you're invested in the top
That
500
sounds.
companies.
Are you doing it too?
Um,
But that's what you want to do. You want to, you want to, that's called passive investing, right? Where you just don't have to do anything. You just put your money in there. To me, that's the best. Because if you try to beat the market, forget it. You're going to get beat because you're going up against these
Yeah.
billion-dollar hedge funds. They've got way more information, way more manpower, and they're just better at it than you. And we just don't have enough time to compete with them, right? So screw it. Just put it in there. And then invest in real estate also. That's another good passive one, right? Because you can just put your money into the real estate.
In America or in here?
It depends. I mean, I think wherever there's value, right? But the only thing about real estate is that you have to manage it, right? It's like a physical asset. So if you're going to get tenants, it's like you have to manage your agent or your property manager, whoever, right? With stock, with the S&P 500, you don't have to touch it. You just put it in there. You can put it out. You don't have to do anything. Just click, 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 and that's it.
Click, click, click.
So,
Okay.
all right. What about you? What
Mhm.
about you? So, in terms of acting,
Mhm.
you're an actress, right? Would you consider that's your main
Source of
source of
in
income, whatever
it
your
is.
main source of time? Okay.
It is. Yeah.
And now, how did you get into it, and when did you start doing it? I want to know.
Oh, it's I fell into it.
Mm.
So I didn't wake up and go like, I want to be an actress or I want to be a singer or whatever. I did. I started out modeling when I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
and then um, I did radio. Because I did a bunch of commercials. I was a commercial model as well, and then I went into radio because this person that I was doing a commercial with, he is a veteran in the radio scene, and at the time I was smoking a lot,
Mm.
and so my voice was so much raspier. I had a very low raspy voice, and he was like, "You'll be perfect for radio," and I'm like, I haven't tried it before. And he was like, yeah, you should come in the weekends and like train with me. I'll train you up. And I was like, okay. And so I did that. And then I did hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all under the same company. And then they gave me my first acting gig as well. It's all Astro. And at the time I didn't like it yet because I wasn't familiar with the culture and it's a whole thing like on-set culture. Like you got to understand like, oh, so this is how they are, or this is how a person, like the director's supposed to be, this is how the AD blah blah blah, blah makeup, everyone has a role and they always have a certain professionalism, when they're doing their jobs. And as a first timer you're looking at that, and this is very different from TVC. This is very different from commercials. So I was monitoring everyone, and everyone's like, there's so much more stress, there's a lot more stress on set for long form shoots, and so I wasn't used to that, and I was like, I don't know if it's my thing, so I was just kind of doing it for money.
Okay.
And then a good friend of mine, Kabir Bhatia, so he's become my mentor now. Like he pushed me to act in Singapore. He pushed for me to be auditioned for me to get an audition to a show in Singapore, and then I got the job. And when I went to Singapore and I started acting there, and I was among great actors, um, that are, because the theater scene in Singapore is so big, and even if you're not doing a lot of TV work or film work, you're a theater actor. And so their process, theater actors, when they're on set, is a little bit more different, than regular TV actors or film actors. And so when I saw that process among my peers in Singapore, I was like, oh, so this is what acting really is, and what it is, what I got from that is that the art of acting forced me to introspect and to dig into me, into myself, to find out what I have, so that I know what I have to be able to show the world via the scripts and all that's been made. But like, if I don't understand who I am, if I don't know how much I'm capable of, if I don't dig that deep, I will not be able to project or to be or to act out. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, you have to know thyself.
And so that whole process is incredibly psychologically exciting for me,
Mm.
because as a kid I was always very emotionally distant from myself. It's a bit more aloof. I was a bit more, detached. And so acting forced me to look at myself more like, okay, So what do you have? What are all these things? What are all these things? How do we make sense of these things? And yeah, so it's a fun journey. And so from that moment onwards, I got hooked, and I decided to be an actor.
Oh,
hmm
yeah, because
Sorry, it's lengthy.
acting, no, it's good. We want to hear. This is about you. I
Okay.
mean, acting is tough. Like, acting is a hard job, right? It's hard to pretend to really like convey that emotion on screen. I feel like, and that's what separates really. I mean, there's this famous an example. There's this famous movie, Heat. I'm
hmm
sure you know Heat,
hmm
right? Robert De Niro, Al Pacino.
hmm
You know that there was a film, the exact same script, shot like 7 or 8 years before Heat, and it was done with like some grade C actors. It wasn't called Heat; it was called something else.
It's called
But
Beat.
yeah, yeah, might as well be.
Niche.
And there was, and there are, you can go on YouTube, Ruth. I don't know if we'll get an infringement on this or what, but you can go on YouTube, and there's side by sides of Pacino and De Niro doing a scene, and then these two scrub actors doing a scene, and they're saying the exact same thing, right? But what the emotion that these guys are conveying, because it's real
Yeah.
to them,
Yeah.
because they know themselves and who they are, as opposed to these actors who are just reading the words
Yeah.
off of
Or just
paper.
reacting.
Right,
So there's
right.
that. There's like a whole acting is so it's there's a lot to it. There's like I see a lot of my friends. They get lucky because they get similar roles. And so they lock one character down.
Mm.
And for the next 15 jobs, they do the same characters. And I was like, yeah, you guys are lucky. I like that formula, but I don't think I can ever be like that because I get bored of one character.
Well, that's
So I try to jump
typecasting.
around.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
try to jump around and try to be different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because I mean, again, like especially in Malaysia, because there's so many different cultures and there's so many socially we're so divided. There's the urban crowd, which is where I'm from, where I grew up speaking English, and so my second language is basically my mother tongue right now, which is Malay. um and then there's the people who only speak Malay and only speak Chinese and only speak Indian. And so, and if you're making a show for the mass market, which is the Malay market, I have to think like them. I have to see, oh, how do they react to things, because they don't react to things like how I react to things,
Mhm.
or my mom or you, or so, like, I have to really study that, because if it's like, oh, I'm getting a divorce, what? That doesn't work with them, because like a lot of like people from other cultures would be like, they would react to things differently, like, oh, you're getting a divorce. What? Like,
Right. They get a little
or
bit more emotional about it.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
so
I
so
mean,
I, so you got to study that a lot, and then when I switch back to, like, say, English format.
but no, I mean, there's differences in different cultures when it comes to just people in general, right?
hmm
Like,
like Americans and British,
oh,
for instance.
Americans
Yeah.
are clearly like louder and more brash than a lot of their
Well,
European counterparts, I think, sometimes, but
I would say Americans
more
can be
emotional.
more warmer
Mm,
as well, like in their expression. They just give more.
mm.
And then, like, say, the Brits are a little bit more, sarky.
Tight upper lip, you know, stiff upper lip,
No, like, well, no, I mean,
dry humor.
dry
Sure.
humor,
Yeah, it's
dry
British
humor.
people. Of
Yeah.
course it is.
So, then they react a little bit less than, the American. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an observation.
Mm.
I know it's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the key is when you're acting, you really do have to observe your subject,
hmm
right? And see how you can
Yeah.
best imitate, I suppose, or best invoke that within yourself,
hmm
right? So when you said, I find this part about introspection as
hmm
an actor very interesting, right? So does meditation or anything like that help you with that process?
It does. It does. Because a lot of times, especially in the past, if I've done like a lot of jobs in a year, like nonstop, sometimes it's hard to identify what is mine
Mm,
and what is not mine. Like, uh so I could be doing, like, say, this thing, right? Is this mine or is this a character's
mm,
that I played, right? So I have to be able to understand where the line is between myself and the characters that I've played. And so yeah, meditation does help a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You bring that up, right? Because I feel that I, you tell me you're the actor,
Hmm.
not me, but to me it seems that when actors portray a character, they get so deep into those characters, and somebody like a Daniel Day-Lewis or somebody like a Russell Crowe or a Tom Cruise or
Hmm.
um, they end up keeping a part of that character
Hmm.
with them,
Hmm.
right? And that character is always going to be there, right?
I would like to say that as technical of an actor as I am, because there's different types of acting, right? There's um being a method actor or technical. I'm more towards, I would like to think that I'm more technical, where, I just do the act and then I drop it. And then I go home as myself. As much as I think that I am a technical actor, some things still stay.
Mm,
Like, it still sticks with me, like certain habits, certain ways of processing. So I make it a point to have, like, well, the first thing is you have to understand yourself.
mm,
And even if you went to school for acting, or you've done like a lot of courses, blah blah blah. And actor's journey is so personal. The craft itself is so personal. The questions that you ask yourself is so personal. So this is something that you need to find within yourself. Like, where is the point where, like, how do you snap out of it?
mm.
Like, how do you detach? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, that makes sense. I heard
And
that. I heard that like when Heath Ledger finished shooting the Joker, he went and locked himself in a hotel room and like screamed for like 20 minutes
yeah, so
straight or
like
something to get it out of him.
everyone has their own, as an actor, every actor has their own way of getting into the role and getting out of the role as well. Like, and it's a very personal journey.
Mm,
Yeah. What's dangerous is that not a lot of actors realize that they're doing it,
mm-hmm,
because we have so many jobs and it's just one after another sometimes. And so, like, when you're getting, okay, you just did like an action girl, and
mm-hmm.
then you're jumping into like a drama set,
Right.
right, where you're crying and you have to be like a damsel in distress, right? Like, and so how do you just, as a person who's used to sort of going into roles quickly, you just get into it without knowing you're getting into it. So that process, you're not intentionally knowing that you're doing it. Does that make sense?
Like you forgot to get out of it first.
So what happens when you get into the next role and
Mm,
you're automatically shifting, you're forgetting the baggage
right.
of the previous role. And some actors, they're just so fascinating. They're able to just unlock, lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock, with that, without even thinking about it. It
Mm,
just comes as a response. But it gets dangerous when they don't know how to unlock, or
mhm.
they don't know that they're supposed to unlock. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Then I mean, I've seen interviews with like this Damian Lewis. He's a British actor who plays a guy, Axe Capital and Billions.
Yeah.
He's quite a famous British actor, and clearly he's from London, but he plays a lot of American
Yeah.
characters, right? I've seen him on talk shows where he doesn't know what his accent is. His accent keeps fluctuating back from
No, yeah.
British to American, and he's like really confused.
My English
You
is
know?
kind of terrible right now, I think,
Mm,
because I've been speaking predominantly Malay. So I have to sort of, there's a split second of like, oh, is that word correct? But
mm-hmm.
but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, by all means,
that's.
like, if you're an actor, if you like that role, that person a lot, and you like to keep playing that person, go ahead. Like, no one's stopping you. But it's just that if you're not aware of that happening, it can be quite detrimental, because by the end of the year, if you did 20 projects and they're all different roles, you're
Mm,
stuck with 20 different people,
right.
20 different types of ways of processing, thinking,
And it
whatever.
depends on what those roles are, right? You get people like Anthony Hopkins who play all these serial killers and these, bad guys, and they start to like, you have to be real careful of what roles you open up and let into
Yeah,
yourself. Is that
yeah.
is that something
I
that
mean, like, if you're,
people go
again,
dark places?
You know, if you're a technical actor, you don't have to go that dark.
Right.
You're just
So we're talking technical versus methodical, right? Because what
method
about these
acting.
method actors, right?
Yeah, method acting go deep. They go
Mm,
deep. They're like they go into the soul of like the character. Technical actors, they see the character, they see what needs to be done.
mm-hmm.
They just do what needs to be done.
Right.
You know, in their own what do you call that? Understanding of the character. And of course the director's view. But method actors, yeah, they kind of go in all the way. 2 feet in.
Some more than others, right?
2 feet in. And that's a, you know, I mean, as long as it works, right? Like
Have you had any experience with any method actors on set that have
yes.
gotten like weird?
Oh, tons. Oh, tons all the time. Yeah, yeah. Where what happens is that they can't sort of snap out when it's cut and then they're still acting the role or they're still thinking they're that person that in that situation and then it's just hard to sort of navigate around them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, all right. So clearly on the set, then we're talking about different actors and
Mhm.
different types of styles of acting. What about different styles of directors and directing? How important is that to you, like working with different directors?
I would say that I'm more comfortable. Well, it depends on the type of project, right? Like if it's an action type type of film, type of project, then I would benefit I would definitely benefit from a more technical director.
Okay.
But if it's more of a drama type of medium, I would definitely need an actor's director because the director is very important to me. Like he could just say one line and it just entangles everything in my head, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I see it," you know,
Mm,
and then that locks something in my mind of how I want to portray that character. Yeah, but if it's a technical director, the director would just tell me like how to direct, how he wants the shot to look like.
mm-hmm.
So and then I just fit into it, and then what kind of emotions he would like. But there's no like sort of process, so that sort of doesn't help me
Okay.
get there. So I have to help myself in that sense. It's like, okay, so I will just do this on my own, you know, with what I know about, you know, the character, and I will just go in blind and trust. Right.
Trust that you have created the character to what you
Yeah,
want
trust
the
the
character to
process.
be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, I mean, I've heard like a lot of actors love working with Clint Eastwood, right? And
Hmm.
Clint Eastwood,
He's an actor, so he would understand how to talk to actors in a way that just
I
gets
mean,
us
I heard him
to lock.
describe it, which was a
Yeah.
really interesting way. He described it as like, he said, the character is your job. You're the actor.
Hmm.
That's, if you're playing Daniela is your job. I'm
Hmm.
not going to interfere with that. So however you create Daniela,
That's your
that's Daniela.
interpretation. Yeah.
That's it. That's how the film's going to be.
And that's fine too,
Mm,
if it's clear from the start,
right.
you know? Yeah, but uh,
Because then you get a lot of freedom, right? To be
yeah,
able to
that's
work
clear.
with how you want it.
That's great, you
Mm,
know. And not also for
mm,
me. So for me, I tend to overthink. So if there's like a how do I play Michael? Oh, there's like 20 ways to play Michael, right? Like in my head, like how okay, so I could be sitting like this, I could be sitting like that, da, da, da. And sometimes I just need someone to help me make up my mind
mm.
for me or with me, you know. So and that would be the director. And yeah.
All right. So if you have any questions, and you can always go to the
Hmm.
director. Cool. So you've worked on a bunch of projects. What's like your most memorable project that you've worked on? That you,
Oh my God. Memorable?
yeah, like what was your favorite? What was your favorite project to work
Favorite.
on?
I don't have a favorite project.
They're all your favorite?
Oh no, please don't put that. All the producers are gonna be like, "What? I thought it was my project." I don't really have one.
Okay.
I love them all, and I don't like them all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that a bad thing to say?
No.
like I love them. It's like a love-hate relationship. It's like they're all I love those characters that I get into, but then there's just so many things that I don't like about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't talk about your newest project, can you? Or what is your
And
No, right? You can't. You need like authorization for that.
no, I think that I think it's getting I think it got canceled.
Oh,
But like
okay.
but I don't know. There's no official word from the production house yet. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to save it somehow. Maybe put it into please put it into fucking theatrical release
Mm-hmm.
or something. I don't know.
So let's go back to talking movies then,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know you're a big sci-fi fan
I
as well.
am.
What's your favorite sci-fi film? What's your favorite
Favorite, favorite,
top? Give me like
favorite
some of your
ever?
few. Sure.
Favorite ever?
Okay. You have
Ever,
a
ever?
favorite ever?
I
Okay.
don't have a favorite ever, ever. I love a lot.
So give me a bunch.
Okay, so my first ever number one film ever, ever. This is more fantasy. Does have a bit of sci-fi element, but it's more fantasy. It's Cloud Atlas.
I
Um,
love Cloud Atlas.
oh, first person. I
I
know.
You
Yes.
know what I love about Cloud Atlas is the music.
Yes.
The
Yes.
piano music. I play that for my son before he goes to
Oh,
bed. As a matter of
wow.
fact, I think we listened to it last
I
night.
love the Wachowskis. I love what they do. I love all their works, and Cloud Atlas is so beautiful. I make it a point to watch it every year.
Hmm. I've
Once.
been
It's
wanting to. Where do you watch it?
I bought it on Apple.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You have to
So I
buy it.
bought it. It's in my record. Like I'm not gonna lose it ever. It's in my archive.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice, nice. What?
Yeah. So that's one. Um yeah, it's just a
That's
wholesome,
an esoteric one too. Not many people know about Cloud Atlas. It didn't get very good reviews. It's a tough
Didn't.
movie to pull off.
Yes. Yes. And I read the book too. It's
Mm-hmm.
a tough book to read, especially when it gets to the most current world setting
Mm-hmm.
where it's they're just talking a bunch of gibberish English. Like it's
Oh,
like pidgin English times
that's
don't
not
say
the most
gibberish English.
current world. That's like the future
Yeah,
world.
I'm not gonna say gibberish English, but like yes, yeah, the most current world. Yeah, like the future world. Like
Right.
so like the most pidgin English type.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is they're so hard to understand.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That, but I think
like
that's
the true
interesting.
true,
Yeah, the true,
Yeah.
right. That was interesting though, because it shows you like the evolution of language as time goes
Yeah.
on, right?
I mean it makes sense and then you
Well, I
gotta piece
mean,
them together and
if you listen to English from like 1,000 years ago, it's
it's
totally
not like
different.
this.
It's really hard
It's
to
not like this,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Heard. Yeah. It's not that's so cringe. Don't put that in. I don't like doing podcasts, but okay.
no,
All
it's
right.
good. We might have to put that in. It's
Okay.
cute.
So, what else? Oh my God, right now I just can't think. Um,
Series.
I mean, I'll tell you the recent ones that I really like, right? Silo, Severance. I'm actually reading Silo, the book right now, like the second book, because I think they're going into the second book. I'm upset that the second season of Silo didn't finish how like the first book ended.
It sped. It was started off very slow, and it picked up the pace in the last like quarter of the
Mm,
season. Like the last 4 episodes, I feel like the pace picked up a
I
lot.
was hooked from the get-go, like
But it was a slow burn from the beginning. I was just waiting, like, when's this gonna
oh, you
blow
mean the
up?
second season?
Yeah,
Second
second
season was
season.
oh,
It was a
second
slow
season
burn.
was like this is not even a chapter.
Yeah, it was a slow
Second
burn.
season was yeah, second season was
Like the first 5 episodes was slow burn, and then it finally second half of the season it like really picked up with like the revolution, and then
mhm.
finally. I don't want to spoil it, but like the AI and jumping silos and all that stuff.
Have you seen the three body problem?
Yeah, it's okay.
You read the books?
No. I heard the book is good.
Yeah.
Just okay. I love the three body problem. I watched it
It's
three
okay.
times. I really liked it.
The books are really good. So much the greatest form of Chinese literature till after like during the West.
I used to read a lot of books, sci-fi books. Frank Herbert, Dune, of course. My dad actually tried to get me to read Asimov, but then I was like, no, this is old people sci-fi. And then and then I watched Foundation,
Hmm.
and I was just like, this is amazing.
Hmm.
This is amazing. So I went to pick up Foundation. and I started reading it. It's great. Yeah.
I read both of those during COVID. Dune and
Ah,
Herbert and Asimov. I read both of those during COVID. I
yeah.
didn't read. I
Frank
didn't.
Herbert is long.
I've got Dune right
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I got a couple of
Yeah.
books up there. Ayn Rand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, thanks, Dad. You know, you knew a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, Asimov is the king. I mean, him
Yeah. Because he
and
knew I loved sci-fi. So
yeah.
he was looking at the books I was reading. He was like, oh, what about this one? I was like, oh, no, old people sci.
But I
Don't.
but I love movies. I love sci-fi movies because you get to actually visualize it and it's fresh and it's clean. Like, what about Alita Battle Angel? I really like
I
Alita.
haven't seen that. Everyone's
You
been
haven't
saying it's
seen that?
good.
So
Yes.
if you like Altered Carbon, I feel like you would also like Alita Battle Angel because it's like a similar
Hmm.
socioeconomic situation in the setting of the films in the far future. But yeah, yeah, check that one out. That's an interesting one. I feel like it got hit. It didn't do great at the box office, but I liked it. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, everyone's been telling me to watch that and the other animation on Netflix.
Love, Sex, and Robots.
No, gosh, I can't remember right now.
Arcane.
Arcane.
I need to watch that. I haven't watched that.
I mean, I kind of started it, but then I just left it.
Okay.
But everyone, because I'm such a nerd.
It's slow, but the payoff is.
I'm such a sci-fi nerd, and everyone's like, you have to watch Arcane because it's your type of thing.
Arcane is fantasy more than sci-fi.
Okay.
If you like space fantasy, Warhammer, but then that's like
Well, I think Henry Cavill just got contracted for Warhammer, so he's going to be in that. And I like in terms of sci-fi, yeah, Altered Carbon's probably my favorite sci-fi series of all time. I thought Andor was amazing. Andor
I
was
thought
really good.
Andor is great too. Like the only thing that's great in the Star Wars
Yeah, in the new
series.
Star Wars
I'm
series.
sorry, guys. In the new series, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
Andor is
because it's
wow,
original and it's gritty and it's
and it's
like
kind of more
set.
grounded
Yes, it's grounded.
because I think they make it for adults.
Mm.
It's the first one that it was like over 18 or something, right? Like
Andor
it's
was amazing. You know, they just dropped this trailer for season 2 yesterday.
oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Andor's great. Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I don't think they make it like that anymore. Like
No, they haven't. I mean, I just
Star
watched this
Wars.
other one, this other Star Wars one called what was it? It was about the kids stealing a spaceship and going to space. Skeleton Crew. I thought it would be it wasn't bad, right? Like but it was very much geared towards children. Like I thought it'd be great for my kids, but my kids have no interest. They have no interest in Star Wars.
I think it's kind
None.
of it's too much. It's like we're getting the Star Wars love bomb right
There was
now.
just too much canon and
There's
there's too
too
much
much.
backstory.
Yeah, there's too much Star Wars love bomb. So like everybody's like, it was kind of like a thing that you look forward to.
Mm.
Don't kill me, Disney, but
no, it's like Marvel now.
but Marvel's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
Certain stories are still kind of cool.
Marvel is the same way Star Wars was back.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more hate towards Marvel now. I feel like Marvel got played out as well. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch Captain America this weekend. I can't wait to go see
There's
it.
a new cat. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been out of Marvel, news
I'm
circuit.
gonna go
I
see it.
didn't know there's a new Captain
There
America.
is. There's the now with Falcon playing Captain
Oh,
America. He had the whole he had the entire series. What was that called?
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter
mm-hmm.
Soldier. But out of all the new Marvel stuff, that was
Oh,
good. Loki was the best. I thought Loki was
Loki was fun.
amazing.
Yeah,
I like Loki.
Loki's fun.
Loki was good. Talk about time travel. There was a lot of time travel in
There was a
that.
lot of time travel in the past few years in all the series and all the superhero shows.
Mm,
Everyone wants to do a multiverse. That's it.
right, the
Yeah,
multiverse. Yeah.
yeah,
You can retcon anything.
that's the trend.
Yeah.
That is the trend. I mean, I would say a hero story that I'm excited to watch would be a Pope exorcist type, Constantine type, right?
Well, they are working on Constantine Part 2.
That's what they're
That's
saying, but we're
yeah.
not getting anything.
I haven't
So,
heard anything from it, but yeah.
yeah.
My friend produced the Pope's Exorcist,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah.
My friend did a Indonesian one, Kuasa Gelap,
Mm,
that's fun.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, we need to have more of that kind of stuff. But we do though in Malaysia. We have like imams or ustads that
Yeah.
like exorcise the demon, the ghost peoples,
Right, the bad spirits or
the bad
whatever you want to call
bad
them.
species.
Yeah.
It would,
Yeah.
would be cool to have like a cool imam, like Constantine-esque imam.
We got Zul'Arifin.
Yeah, and then he like exercise. But then like within the
We got Zul'Arifin, like, just walking in and saying,
Yeah.
"Devil, Satan, not today, not today, Satan." Yeah. So,
So sci-fi films, you're a
oh
big
yes,
sci-fi girl, but you
I know.
and
I'm
fantasy.
not even.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
feel
even
like I could see you dressing up and like
like an
going to like a
elf.
Comic-Con or something like that, right? Would you?
Like an elf, like a chubby elf,
No, I wouldn't say chubby elf, but
pink cheeks. Like,
have you done that before?
no,
What about
no.
for Halloween? You must have dressed up.
As an elf, no.
Not as an elf.
It's
It's
like a
it's like a
manga,
it's
like a
like a
manga
it's like a
character. No, no. I actually read a lot of mangas nowadays. Yeah, yeah. I'm following Sakamoto Days. Yeah, like I haven't read last week's chapter, but yeah, it's good. It's good. It's based off John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
So, the author's like, yeah, it's inspired by John Wick,
Tell him the
and
story of Sakamoto.
so it's like this 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 top assassin, okay, hunky, cool, top killer in his agency, retires, and because he falls in love with a woman that he met in a convenience store. So he retires. He marries the girl. He opens up a convenience store for her, like a mom and pop shop, not like a 7-Eleven. And then he gets fat and he retires from killing because he wants to be with his wife. He's got a daughter too. It's the cutest but
This is what he looked
violent.
like. Looks like now.
I think this is on Netflix now,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Oh, I saw a trailer
It's
for
super
that.
cute and it's super.
So then something obviously happens and he has to go back and kill some
Yeah,
people.
there's a bounty on his head. So
Oh.
he's
How could they recognize him?
no, and that's the thing, right? So they don't recognize him at the start, and they're like, "Who's this fat guy?" Like.
Mhm.
And it's so cute. You got animation of his like, because he's so big now. He's got like triple chin. His chin is kind of huge. So when there's like an action, it sort of wobbles. It's
Okay.
so cute. Like they made him like he's cuter in the anime than the manga. The manga is more violent and gritty.
Okay, so what's the difference between manga and anime?
The manga is the comic version,
Okay,
and
manga
then
is a comic.
the anime is the animated version.
Okay, so
The
anime is the
yes,
television, televised
film.
version.
Yes, the film
Right.
animation. Yes.
Okay. And then you've got live action
Yes.
anime or
Live
would it be called
action.
live action manga? What would it be
Live
considered?
action anime would
Live action
be
anime. Like One
where
Piece.
where they use real
Yeah, I loved One Piece on
real
Netflix
people.
with
Am I right?
Luffy.
Dear God. Yeah. So yeah.
Even the
So
live action was
the
No,
Avatar.
the show.
Oh
Not the
right.
movie, not the movie, the show.
That's in the cartoon.
The one with the people with wind and fire
It's
and all that. I
okay.
didn't think it was that
It's
good.
quite
I didn't like it.
wholesome.
It
It
was very
captured
kiddie.
the wholesomeness of
Yeah, it was for
the
children.
original Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, but in terms of like gritty sci-fi, yeah, what about movies? All right, Blade Runner.
Yeah, I
Blade
love Blade
Runner
Runner.
20,
Yeah.
2047 or whatever
The
that one
OG in
was.
2020 something.
Yeah, that was
We're
very
getting
good.
close to that date, by the way. We're the cars.
Well, we've already passed Back to the Future's future.
Oh yeah.
We're in the
19
future.
2040 something, right? Blade Runner 2040.
2047.
2040.
Yeah, 2049.
2049.
2049. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're living in the future.
Blade Runner's great. Denis Villeneuve, he's such a great. He's done an amazing job for Dune. Like my friends and I were geeking out. We're like, oh, please don't mess this up, because Dune has been interesting in the past in
Oh,
like the
right.
series and the films and what they've done. So when the Denis Villeneuve version came out, it was nothing like we've ever seen. At the same time, we know this is it.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We know
thought,
this is the books, but like it's better than just visually. It was stunning.
yeah.
How it's designed, how everything is designed. The
I
sound.
The sound. Well, that was Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer. They created musical instruments just to do the score for that film because they wanted them to sound alien. So they wanted to make sounds that they never heard before.
Yeah,
So
and
they
it
created
worked
instruments. Right?
because there was like a shock factor to it's like when you watch Lord of the Rings, right?
Mm.
It's like how do the guys that fly, or what do you call them? The flying things, this how would they screech when they come in? You know, and
Oh,
then they
right,
recorded
right.
like the pigs screeching.
Mm.
But no one hears pigs screeching. And so then they put that to that and it just
Well,
sounded
the
so
Mongolian
horrific.
throat singing was pretty cool in Dune too. I used to listen to this remix of it on on repeat.
Hmm.
You know, where he's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Dune soundtrack is really
Yeah, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Long live.
But Denis Villeneuve, I think he's probably the most visionary director currently, like that we currently have.
Yeah.
Like in terms of visionary, beautiful style, he's probably the best. I think so nowadays. I mean, yeah, you still have Chris Nolan out there, but he's not on
I
Denis
love
level
Christopher
in
Nolan.
terms of like visualization and beauty shots and
I
just
love. Well, it's
scale.
different though. It's different. They work differently. They work
He's also a
differently.
writer director, which I love
Mm-hmm.
about Christopher Nolan, the fact that he's a writer director.
Yeah,
You know.
they have strengths, different strengths,
Mm-hmm.
different way of telling stories that are effective,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
visually effective, stunning.
Yeah, well, visually, I think his probably his most visual film was Interstellar. And then I would say after Interstellar, I would go with the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy about dreams,
Inception.
Inception.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say those two.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, Inception was great when it came out, and everybody was like, "What is it about?" And now when they watch it, they're like, "Oh, because everyone's kind of doing similar type of non-linear stories like that, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, this is normal for us." And I'm like, "Oh, back then when it first came out, not a lot of people understood what it was about."
Yeah, well, I still think the idea of a dream
Hmm.
sharing, and dream within a dream is still pretty novel. They've actually just did this a couple of weeks ago where they did an experiment using some sort of technology where people were able to actually share a dream together.
Hmm.
And they were hooked in together with wires and they were able to share a dream, like while sleeping. Can you imagine?
That's lovely.
yeah. So it
I
was
could
like
spend time with like people that I can't spend time with, like
the
that I
participant.
haven't met in 6 months. I'm like, "Oh, my bestie, where are you? We can have coffee in our heads." Yeah.
So the participant repeated the word in his dream, with his response captured and stored on a server. 8 minutes later, the next participant entered a lucid dream. She received the stored message from the first participant and confirmed it upon awakening while she was sleeping.
So she's not really sleeping though. What is it? What state would she be in? REM?
I have not. Okay,
What
so
what
lucid dreaming
state?
is when you have control.
Right.
So
So then you're not really. It's not super.
That's a big thing too now, lucid dreaming. No, lucid dreaming, you're
So
dreaming.
okay. So my favorite film of all time is Cloud Atlas. My second favorite film of all time is Vanilla Sky.
Okay.
Mm, I'm sorry, not the Spanish version, although it's good too. But
I didn't
yes,
even know there was a Spanish version.
it's from a
I
it's
only
a
know the Tom Cruise version and
yeah an
Penelope Cruz.
adaptation. Yeah,
I love the Mustang scene in Times Square and then the
yeah,
scene at the
it's
end when
kind of
they play
iconic.
Good Vibrations
It's
from the Beach
iconic. Yeah,
Boys. Yeah.
yeah, and so like it's yeah, it's about like stories like that. When you go deep and then goes crazy. Okay, what's the film that scared you the most
Scared me the most.
ever until today? I got two with me.
Well, I'm not. When I was a kid, I was a young child,
Uh-huh.
like probably 10 years old, 11 years old, and my mother left us alone, me and my friend home alone.
Hmm.
And we watched some stupid movie called like April Fool's Day or something, and we were scared to death. I have no idea what it's about. I can't remember, but all I remember is by the time my mom got home, me and my friend were huddled together
Oh
under a blanket, like, oh,
no!
finally she's home, you know? So there
Oh
was that.
no!
And then another time
The
where
snow is gonna take us away.
yeah, April Fool's Day. And
Or
then
the flowers are gonna.
Paranormal Activity, the first time I watched it with with
Oh,
my current wife, my wife, and you know, I don't know. We just freaked ourselves out because the next night we went to Cameron Highlands and stayed in this really old hotel. And we were like the only people staying in this hotel. I can't even
Oh
remember the name
no,
of the
I
hotel.
know those like yeah, the Cameron Highlands, like they have like these yeah, it's
Like
pretty
it's a
scary. It's
really
like this
old
cottage
hotel.
type.
It looks like a giant house, and
Okay.
it's got like a yard, and you can see the tea plantations from there,
Hmm.
and it's a very old colonial home, right? And we were like the only other people staying there. Maybe there was a couple other, and you just hear things creaking at night and doors opening and shit, and we really just couldn't get paranormal activity out of our heads.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So that's it. Those are the two. But other than that, I'm pretty good with. I don't mind horror films.
Oh yeah. Well, when I was a kid, and it still freaks me out until today. Session 9.
I don't know that one.
Session 9 is it's a mental trip. Like
Okay.
so he's the protagonist. I'm not gonna say
Oh, it looks terrible.
it's yeah, and it's kind of an indie, low budget. It's an indie film.
It looks unsettling.
Okay.
Yeah, but then so he goes in. He has to do something at the mental hospital. He has to clean up the asylum
Right.
or something, and then because it's an abandoned asylum, so he goes in there to just clean it or demolish. I can't remember what it
Right.
was, and then he gets all these like things that happens to him, and he yeah, and then by the end of the film, which I'm just gonna say it because no one's gonna watch it. We as the audience realized that it was all in his head,
Uh-huh.
and he was actually imagining these things, and he's actually crazy, and his wife died.
Oh.
Like, and
And how
so
old were you when you watched
I don't
this?
know, like young.
And how did it affect you?
It affected me a lot because I was like, at that point, I was like, the scariest thing to me is not knowing what's real or not.
Mm.
What is not the scariest thing to me is not knowing what if I. Sorry, let me just word it up correctly. The scariest thing to me if I is if what I knew wasn't reality.
Right. Well, that's very possible.
That
You know that, right?
I know, and then now there's this whole like,
The simulation theory.
yeah,
And let me tell you, like I've gone down rabbit holes on the simulation theory, and one of the scariest things is that once you really believe that this isn't real,
yeah, yeah,
like it gets a little weird. Things get weird. It's like the scene in Inception where the
yeah,
wife kills herself because she believes she's still dreaming.
yeah.
Or
No,
or it's like that movie The Discovery with Jason I don't know, that tall guy. It's a Netflix film, and they discover that there is life after death, and they have like proof of it. So then people just start killing themselves,
yeah.
right? And like suicides go through the
Probably
roof.
have like weird cults and stuff that's
Yeah.
starting these sort of rituals. I'm only my dialogue is only clear when I'm when I'm acting, because then it's not mine. So it's just like I'm just saying per.
But no, I've like thought that because I've gone deep down the rabbit hole of simulation theory. And if you truly start to believe that this isn't real, like that we are in a simulation, then it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous thought, actually. It's a dangerous thought because anything is possible at that point. Like the interesting thing is that's one of the reasons I meditate, though.
Mhm.
I meditate to try to escape the simulation,
Mhm.
which is basically not. You want to call it the simulation, you call it our 3D dimension, three-dimensional reality, whatever, right?
So you meditate to come back to be more grounded,
No, I
or
meditate
oh
to bounce. I meditate
oh
to
okay
try and
okay
try and reach other realms.
oh cool.
Yeah, like that's for me meditation. Yes, yeah, I like to relax my body and stuff like that, but really what I like to do is explore like
What the
consciousness.
possibilities? Yeah,
Yeah, what the
yeah, yeah,
possibilities of that you can do with consciousness, like astral projection,
yeah, yeah,
different things.
yeah.
Different just trying to get into different worlds, different
Mhm.
dimensions.
Yeah, I got something interesting to tell you, but like after this probably.
Okay.
Um, so my second most horrific, the film that traumatized me was Second film that traumatized me was Event Horizon.
I love that movie, but that
I
was scary
cannot,
as hell.
I cannot watch anything until today. I mean, it's probably super outdated right now. I don't know. I haven't seen on any of the trailers, but the other day it sort of popped up because I was checking out Prometheus and other things.
I watched it recently.
Oh,
Like I'd say
with your
I
kids.
watched it in the last no, I watched it probably in the last 18 months. And I would
Oh,
say
no.
it's still
I'm
that
not
that
going to space.
depiction of hell that like depiction of hell.
Yeah.
It's not even a depiction, it's more like audio,
Mm,
right? Because it's the sounds of it. It's like it's very real. I know what you mean. Like it sounds real. It sounds like you're in a horrible
yeah.
place.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was when I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, I love space. Space is cool. After Event Horizon, I'm like, I don't know. You guys go first.
One of the most underrated space horror movies out there, I think. I think it's a very good space horror movie.
Underrated?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think it did justice at the box office,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately,
Hmm.
but yeah, I
Too
mean,
young to understand that sort of thing, you know.
right, right,
It's
right,
just
right.
consuming.
I remember I first watched that when I was young too, on television in my room. Yeah, by myself.
It's ugh, okay. Yeah. Event Horizon. Horrible, horrible. Um yeah, so films are really powerful, you know. It can inspire you, it can break you down, it can question, it forces you to question what you believe in as well, you know. So it's what we do is that's one of the reasons why I stuck to acting because I want to be a part of that process.
Mm.
You know, like whether or not I do become that the process of inspiring millions of people, that's another thing, right? But as long as I'm in the journey in that world, like I want to keep doing it. Yeah. Well, why do you like films? Why do you?
I just love films. I love being entertained
Mhm.
because that's like you said, one of the ways that I judge a good film is I judge it on whether or not it evokes emotion within me, right? So it might not even be a great film, but if it somehow evokes emotion in me, then it gets bumped up 1 or 2 points on my scale,
Mhm.
right? And that's what you go for. Like I'm a very emotional person, I think, when it comes to films. Like I
Mm.
cry, I can cry a lot. Like I'll cry.
Have you seen Ghostlight?
No,
Please watch Ghostlight. It
no.
just came out last year. It's an indie
Okay,
film. It's a festival film.
okay.
It's brilliant. Please watch Ghostlight. I don't know where you can find it, but
Mm.
please find it.
But one of the things is like I shed tears at the point where like not during sad moments most of the time. I shed tears mostly during good moments in films,
Mm-hmm.
like during happy moments, like particularly when people come together.
Mm-hmm.
When people come together and they actually, achieve the task that they've been
Oh,
trying to achieve for the most time, that's when I get the most emotional.
oh, you're so wholesome.
Yeah. But
Please watch Ghostlight.
I
Watch it with your
will.
family. Watch it with family.
Is it a local film or
No, it's
an
an
American film?
American indie film.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll keep it. I'll put it on my list.
I will text you
Yeah,
after
send
this.
me
Yeah.
send me WhatsApp later. Yeah, okay, cool. But no, I mean, I got into it just because ever since I was a kid, I remember there was a class project when I was in first grade, so that means I would have been 6, 7 years old. And the teacher said, what do you want to, you have a choice of doing a project on anything that you want. What do you want to do? I said, I want to make a movie. And she said, no, you can't. You don't know anything about making a movie. I said, yes, I do. I said, you need a director, a producer, a best boy dolly grip, a key grip, a light grip, actors. And she's like looking at me, how the hell do you know that? Right. And I know, anyway, she didn't let me make the project, but it's because when I was a kid, I used to watch the credits, and I think my mother and my father said, "Oh yeah, those are all the people that you need to make a movie." So I
What?
just started memorizing all the different,
Yeah,
positions that you need to
yeah.
make a movie, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I've seen every movie that's ever been made," and I was like,
Oh.
6 years old, watching HBO, and because that was like the one movie channel that you had back
Mm-hmm.
then, it was HBO. And and I just loved it. I love movies. I remember the first movie
Did you
I
go to
went
film
to.
school?
No, I didn't. I made a film in university. I made a student film
Oh.
called Violation, which I actually sent to somebody. just a couple of weeks ago. They requested me to send it, and somebody from college.
What? Oh,
Yeah, they
let's
were
see
like,
what we
Mike,
did.
they're like, do you remember that student film that you made back then? Me and
What
the
we
girls got
did.
together, and we were talking about it. Do you have a copy of it? I was like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's terrible, but it was fun. And I took all my school didn't offer a film major, but I took all the film classes that I could. So I was able to take like East Asian film
Oh,
studies,
your heart was in it.
yeah, yeah. And then I wanted to get into it after, but in the US, if you want to get into the film industry, the pay is terrible. The pay at the time was like $24,000 a year for New York City for like a production assistant, right? Which is like, the lowest position on the totem pole. And you can't live on that. And
Mm-mm-mm.
I didn't have, family that could support me or anything like that. So I had to get into the making money business instead of the film production
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
And
So now you're more comfortable.
yeah.
So you're back
So
into
now
it.
I'm back. Now I'm, yeah, getting
Nice.
back at it. And we did, yeah, we the films that I've done. So um
Not all though. The when is your recent one? When is the one that you just filmed? When is that coming out?
well, this year at some point, we don't have a date yet, but
Mm.
this year at some point that'll come out.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a nice film. But yeah, I like the art of it too, like the movement. I'm a very visual person. When I see, like when I think visually. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I kind of think in terms of movies. And I've seen so many movies, and I've used movies as like mentors in a sense. Like actors and characters in films have been like mentors, right? So I've been able to like get a worldview through movies and education through movies. So I think that's a good way for people to learn is through
Yeah.
watching films.
Good way to develop critical thinking too.
Mm. And a way to experience different cultures
Mm-hmm.
and different aspects of life that you may not be open to in normal life,
Mm-hmm.
or just might not have the opportunity to be able to experience, rural life in Thailand or
Yeah.
big city life in Shanghai or New York.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to vicariously live through those actors.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's a means for escape as well, but it's a lot more than that.
Mm.
And I feel like I hope that in the future we can do more of this the art of storytelling, and not just let it be run by a bunch of computers. You
Yeah.
know, as much as I love computers, as much as I love the world of sci-fi,
Mm.
I think certain things I still value certain things being organically made.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and I love the idea of like an auteur. Like that's something that we're kind of losing. That's why I love Christopher Nolan because he's an auteur, right? Nowadays, most movies that you see are like movies made by committee, and to
Mm.
me, that's like takes the art out of it, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the art is created by a person's vision and how strong their vision can be. When you're making movie by committee, you're just that's not art. That's commerce.
yeah.
That's business. That's why it's hard to find these like Quentin Tarantino style movies, Martin Scorsese movies. They don't get made anymore. Now, if you go to a theater, it's mostly these big tentpole CGI packed action
I
films.
think everyone's made the template for Marvel, like the whole like action funny comedy thingy, and they ran with it for everything else,
Mm.
which is quite kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's changed the game for sure. I mean, now, but it's sad too because so many of these great stories just don't get a chance
Yeah,
to get told.
yeah,
I'm hoping that AI is going to change that in a sense where it allows auteurs to really thrive in a
yeah.
marketplace where it will allow them to be like, you can create a film with less people
Mm-hmm.
for less
Mm-hmm.
money and still have that impact. One movie that I'm looking forward to really seeing, I was thinking about this morning, is Francis Ford Coppola's movie, Megalopolis. I really want to see that.
Oh,
Apparently, it's like a crazy hot mess, but it's Francis Ford Coppola, and
have you
he
seen it?
spent $80 million of his own money on it. I really want to see that.
That's a big passion project.
Yeah, and it only made like I don't know, 4 million at the box
Oh
office or
no.
something like that, like something quite low. But it's about the art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a lot of modern audiences won't understand it, but I know that, if you saw Apocalypse Now or Godfather, I mean, this guy's he's a king of
Mm-hmm.
movies. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for you to watch Ghostlight now.
Mm. All right, you have to message it to me.
Yeah, because it's not one of those flashy, visually CGI filled films. It's just a very simple story told in the best way.
Okay,
You go with the best team of people, and so it's just that. Looks
good.
like it was made with like 400,000. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
All right, good. We'll go check it
simple
out.
simple film, but
On that note, I think we'll call it a day because you said you had to
oh yeah,
go.
oh yeah.
It's getting late.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
did good. I don't know how many hours we did, but I think we
There's
did.
no thank you, right? I don't need to thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.